Hello again, thanks for being with us tonight. A UK referendum on an EU exit is not in America's interest. That's according to President Obama's Assistant Secretary on European and Eurasian Affairs. That statement then has caused further divisions within Britain's coalition government. It comes as Prime Minister David Cameron prepares to make a speech on the future of European policy later this month. Let's cross over to London, shall we? RT's Laura Smith is there to pick this one apart a bit. Hi Laura, an unusual step from the Obama camp, no?
It is unusual. What's not unusual about it is the fact that we've always known that the US prefers that the UK has a close relationship with the EU because when it wants something done, it's Britain that it calls. But this kind of direct challenge to the government over Europe, sort of involving itself in internal British affairs, is something a little bit new. The US has warned of the dangers of holding a referendum on Europe for the UK. But it is timely, as you say. David Cameron's supposed to be delivering this speech later this month, which he's expected to promise a renegotiation of the terms of the UK's membership of the European Union, and then promise to put those terms to a referendum. But now, of course, the US has stuck its oar in and made what many have seen as a veiled threat to what we call the special relationship that we're always harping on about, this special relationship between the US and the UK, that the relationship would be devalued for the Obama administration by either Britain leaving the EU altogether, or even if it got bogged down in constant negotiations about what the UK's membership would be like. And it has caused fallout in the coalition government, although that's not a difficult thing to do these days. David Cameron, the Prime Minister, has played it down, saying it's just an opinion, but Nick Clegg, his deputy, has said that it is a big issue, that the UK is valuable to the US precisely because it has a close relationship with the European Union, and but of course his party does stand against anything that distances Britain from the EU. Now, I felt that the main issue for people here, given that there's an increasing lack of support for Britain's membership of the European Union, would probably be just that, the US sticking its oar in. So I went out to ask them.
I think they have concerns, and I can understand, because I think they were saying that they feel that we have similar values to theirs, and that therefore we represent them in the European Union. But as for the European Union, I'm not sure I want to be in it.
They're clearly still a major partner of ours, and we have to take notice, but equally I don't think they necessarily fully understand how the union works and the implications for Britain.
I don't think it is their business, because I mean we're a different country to them, so I think we should make the decisions. I mean they don't really have, I mean I know that we have been involved with them in the past as a country, but I think that it's up to us, and I don't think they should get involved.
A lot of people on the streets there seeing it as a question of sovereignty. Now, with me is Gerard Batten, who's a member of the European Parliament. Gerard, we've always known, haven't we, that the US prefers that the UK has a close relationship with the Union. So what difference does it make now that they've said it out loud?
I think the difference here is that they're actually overtly interfering in British politics, internal politics. And you're right, this goes back a long time. The Americans funded the European movement back after the Second World War. In fact, in the 1970s, Henry Kissinger famously said, "When I want to speak to Europe, who do I call?" And what few people realise actually is that in 1975, the last time we had a referendum on this, the CIA actually pumped money into the Yes campaign, and that's now a matter of record. It's the documents are in Georgetown University. An academic, Dr. Richard Aldridge, has written a book on this. It's all a matter of fact. And the reason that they do that is because they don't want the inconvenience of dealing with a large number of democratic nation states. They want to deal with one centralised political state in Europe, the European Union. Now, this isn't because they care about our national interests. I'm sorry, but they couldn't care less about our national interests and our democratic rights. It's about their foreign policy and what they think is best for them, and we have to know that. And this isn't something that's just happened now. What I think is indicative is how worried they are about what's happening in Britain, because there's this growing movement of people who are fed up with the European Union, and of course the rise in the polls of my own party, the UK Independence Party.
Isn't it's just what governments do, though. I mean, I distinctly remember last year David Cameron sticking his oar into the Eurozone countries, telling them they had to get their act together, pick up their economies, and France and Germany in particular getting very cross about that.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between, you can understand a country having a view about other countries' foreign policy and stating that, you know, whether it be in diplomatic terms or publicly by politicians. But I think this is a bit different. This is a direct attempt to interfere in British domestic policies, not our foreign policy, but our domestic policy. Are we a sovereign nation or not? And they're trying to frighten the British people by saying, you know, we'd lose influence and it jeopardises our special relationship and all the rest of it. If we continue along this road of actually asking, well, hang on a minute, what's happened to our national sovereignty? It's gone and we'd like it back. And the polite thing, or the politest thing I could say today is President Obama should butt out of British affairs.
And David Cameron's got these big plans for a referendum. We're expecting this announcement within the next few weeks. You'll be pleased about that, I assume. But what difference does this really make?
I think you'd have to be very naive to think if David Cameron is sincere about this. He's talked about a referendum, but this whole thing about renegotiation is a nonsense. You cannot renegotiate the terms of our membership. Terms of membership are decided by a treaty. They have to be done by the unanimous agreement of all 27 member states and 28 soon when Croatia joins. You cannot renegotiate on a piecemeal basis. And nobody in the European Union, the other countries, is going to renegotiate our terms or allow us to, because we're one of the biggest paymasters to the EU. It's a straight, do we stay in or do we get out?
So the US is worried about nothing?
No, they're worried about us getting out, because they don't want to have to call Herman von Rompuy and then make another telephone call to whoever's the Prime Minister of Britain when they want something. That's their problem, that's not our problem. All the arguments that President Obama put up about we'd lose influence and all the rest, these are totally false. Every argument about why Britain should stay in the EU can be easily refuted, and it's been done on many occasions. So they have to resort to this kind of scaremongering. And I'm sorry, but I think the Americans should mind their own business. You know, what we don't tell them about their national sovereignty, they shouldn't tell us. Because the most precious thing we've got is the right to determine our own democratic affairs. And I feel that they are, first of all, in a way I'm pleased about this, because it proves to me how well my party is doing, the UK Independence Party, because we're the only party that's advocating withdrawal. If we weren't there, all the public discontent about the EU wouldn't matter, because it wouldn't change anything. But we give them something to vote for, and we're now on 15–16% in the polls. We take votes away from the other parties. Hopefully we're going to start winning Westminster Party's seats soon. That's got the wind up the British political establishment, and I think we can see it's now got the wind up the Americans as well. Well, good as far as I'm concerned.
All right, Gerald Button, thank you very much. That's Gerald Button talking to me about Obama administration expressing his opinion on the UK's membership of the EU.
Yeah, Gerald Button will be off Obama's Christmas card list, I think, don't you? RT's London correspondent Laura Smith with Gerald Button there, member of the European Parliament for London for the United Kingdom Independence Party. Thanks both.